As we assess what the Trump administration is going to do with the courts and the travel ban, let's take a look from another angle to see that the proponents of the courts, they hate the rule of law. I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance. Hi, friend. I'm Randall Terry. Thanks for joining me. This is going to be one of those mind-bending episodes. So I ask you to stay with me and do everything in your power to wrap your head around this, because if you do, it's going to be both eye-opening and fun, and perhaps a little bit troubling. So let's start by making some assertions which I will prove, okay? Number one, the people who hate God, they hate Christian norms, they hate the Ten Commandments, they actually are lawless. They hate law. Now, don't misunderstand me. They want force. They want the Supreme Court of the United States, for example, to say, you can kill your baby by abortion. But the very act of killing a baby by abortion is against the law. Now, Randall, what are you talking about? Well, I'm talking about the law, capital L. Law emanates from the lawgiver, the ultimate lawgiver of the universe. If there is no God, then there ultimately can be no such thing as a fixed standard of right and wrong, good and evil, lawful and lawless, law-abiding and criminal. There can't be a fixed standard. There can only be the latest whim, the latest poll, what a majority wants at any given fickle moment. But there can't be law. It can't be a fixed set of moral absolutes, because that would have to come from outside. That would have to come from above. That would have to be, to use a philosopher's word, it would have to be transcendent. So what we see with those who want to kill their children, I'm going to use a lot of illustrations, okay? I'm not going to just fixate on child killing, although it's worthy of fixating on, but stay with me. Those who want to kill their children or have any type of sexual debauchery and have it be called normal or good, or those who want to steal the labor of another man, they want to eat off the sweat of another man's brow, a form of slavery, socialism. These people hate law. What they like is force. And by the way, they even hate democracy if it doesn't suit them. They are perfectly content to have autocratic government. Now, what does autocratic mean? It's from Greek. Auto means self. Krasi comes, it's the English way we would spell or look at the word law or rule. Self-law, self-rule. Ooh, did you hear that? Self-rule. I want to do what I want to do. You can't tell me what to do with my body. I can have an abortion if I want. I can have sex with that person if I want. I can marry that person if I want. I can do drugs if I want. You can't tell me what to do. That's autocratic rule, self-rule. That's the rebel spirit. That's the rebellion spirit against God himself, really. Lucifer, yeah, right? The great song leader of the heavens. So we have people who are autocrats. There's millions of them scattered around the United States. And they hate law, but they love force when it will enforce and when it will decriminalize their lawlessness. So if somebody wants to commit a murder, well, most civilized nations say, thou shalt not murder. They take the commandment of God and they delineate it in their statutes, okay? Well, it used to be against the law in all 50 states in America to kill your own offspring. It's a crime. You can't do that. It's a criminal act. They said, no, I want to be able to kill my baby. So they couldn't get this passed by the democratic process. What did they do? They went to an oligarchy. Rule by a few. The word oligarchy is another Greek word. It means rule by the few. In fact, it goes all the way back to when there were 9 rulers of Greece, 9 members of the Supreme Court, coincidentally. All right, stay with me. I'm going to take a break, but I want you to see that the lawless love dictatorships as long as they get what they want. When I was a prisoner in a prison work camp in Alpharetta, Georgia, I had a lot of time on my hands to research who the bad guys were in the death of our culture. And I wrote Accessory to Murder. It is an overview of our political, cultural, media, and religious adversaries that are accomplices to the death of our culture. I encourage you, get a copy of this and learn the who's who of the bad guys. I have been a leader in the pro-life movement for 30 years. And sadly, we have not prevailed in our goal to make it a criminal act to kill an unborn baby. There's reasons why we have failed. I wrote this book, A Humble Plea, to Catholic bishops, to evangelical clergy, and to lay people, explaining where we went wrong and what we have to do to prevail. We've made this available as a PDF online for free. I encourage you to go and download your own copy. Welcome back, friend. I'm Randall Terry. Autocrats, self-rule, oligarchs, the rule of a few. All right, what do they have in common? Well, it's where rebels turn to enforce evil. Now, look at the Obergefell decision. The Supreme Court heard these various cases and ultimately said that 2 people of the same gender can be married, defying thousands of years of Christian history, Jewish history, pagan history. Even the vile pagans, the perverse pagans, never stooped to having 2 people of the same gender be married. This is the level of perversity and demonic evil that we're dealing with. So they literally spit in the face of law. First, they spit in the face of God Almighty, who said that marriage is a sacrament, who teaches that marriage is a sacrament, a covenant, a holy thing created by Him for one man and one woman. And then to a much less offensive degree, they spit in the face of the several states, the majority of the states in America, who had, through either their elected officials or through direct votes at the ballot, like Proposition 8 in California, said that marriage is between a man and a woman, period. That's it, all right? So what I told you before the break, and I want you to grasp now, is that the lawless, the autocrats, hate representative government. They despise it when it conflicts with their autocracy, their self-rule. The will of the people be damned if that will keeps 2 lost souls in total open rebellion to God, who, by the way, called people having sex with members of the same gender, he called that an abomination. Okay? The act of 2 people of the same gender coming together in any type of sexual practice is an abomination. Now, he's the lawgiver. Okay? So therefore, it is an abomination. We can't change that. So America still having the hints and the echoes of a Christian nation. When the militant homosexuals in the late 80s and the 90s really began their push to have homosexual marriage, we created the Defense of Marriage Act, DOMA, signed into law, believe it or not, by Bill Clinton. So we have, and then one by one, the states passed laws that said marriage is between a man and a woman. So what did the militant homosexuals do? They said, we don't care what the state legislators did. We don't care what the people wanted through their representatives. We don't care what the people voted for when there were ballot initiatives. We don't care about the commandments of God. We want what we want. We are autocrats. So what are we going to do? We're going to find other autocrats. We're going to find an oligarchy if we need to. The Second Circuit Court of Appeals, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, and ultimately the Supreme Court itself to dictate what law we want. Now again, ultimately, philosophically, homosexual marriage is not the law of the land. It is a perversion. It is a criminal act. It is an act of insurrection against God and against law. And it was an act of insurrection against the laws of the United States. The late Anton Scalia said that it was a judicial putsch. Putsch is the German word for a coup, an overthrow of a government. We literally had the overthrow of the U.S. government with the Obergefell decision without a shot being fired. Without a shot being fired. So we are now in the place where the lawless, those who hate God, those who love death, those who reject the commandments of God, those who are autocrats, have subverted the rule of law, found a handful of little dictators to do their will, and we now live in a lawless government. I'll be right back. As a Christian leader and as a public speaker, I've had the privilege of speaking in some of the largest events in America, some of the biggest pulpits in America. I've spoken at the late Jerry Falwell's Thomas Road Baptist Church, and I've spoken inside of the Vatican. I also would be honored to come and to speak in your community. If you have an event where you need a public speaker and you want to talk about pro-life, you want to talk about marriage, you want to talk about political activism, you want to talk about the threat of Islam. There's many issues that I'm fairly well read on and can speak to your group. If you need a speaker for a fundraising event, I've done many of them and helped people raise hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years. So I'm available to you. If you'd like to talk to me about coming into your community to speak at your event, contact us at the web address or the phone number that you see on the screen. Hi friend, I'm Randall Terry. It is very possible that the autocrats among us, the tin pot dictators, the federal judiciary, it's very possible, and it's terrifying to even ponder this, but it's possible that they are driving us towards either civil war or what we might even better call revolution. Because a civil war would intimate that there are geographical places, borders where people are fighting against each other. Really what we might be looking at, because of these autocrats, because of this oligarchy at the Supreme Court, and because of the cowardice and the failure and the treachery of elected officials, we could be headed down a path that leads us to violence, fatal violence, revolution, true revolution. I don't want it. I hope it's not true, but it's possible. Now let me make my point, quoting from the founders of our government. In the Declaration of Independence, which is, by the way, a Christian document, there are 4 references to the Creator in the Declaration of Independence. And don't let anyone tell you that this is not the Judeo-Christian God. They're full of hooey. They don't know history, they clearly don't know the meaning of words, and they don't know theology, if they would even deign to say that this is not a Christian document and that the words that refer to the Almighty, to the Creator, only have meaning at that time in a Judeo-Christian framework, okay? A biblical framework. I digress. So read the book Defending the Declaration by Gary Amos. Gary Amos, A-M-O-S. Defending the Declaration, if you need a single volume to explain the history of it. So the beginning of it, they mention that it is the laws of nature and nature's God that enable America to be free. So this is a couplet, the laws of nature and nature's God. This is talking about what we in philosophy and in theology call natural law, but also revealed law. Revealed law is the Ten Commandments, the laws of nature and the laws of nature's God. You don't have to say the laws of nature's God the second time, all right? You wouldn't, if you were writing somebody, you'd say, look, this is about the laws of nature and nature's God. It's defining whose laws we're talking about, revealed law, natural law and revealed law. Say, okay, so the laws of nature and nature's God. We're dealing with the Almighty who gives us natural law, which is a shadow and a reflection into revealed law. Natural law doesn't change. Everyone knows in their heart that murder is wrong, even if you don't have a commandment that says, thou shalt not murder. Everyone knows that bearing false witness against somebody is wrong, even though you don't have the commandment in front of you that says, thou shalt not bear false witness. This is because God wrote the law on men's hearts, the law. It's a part of natural law. All right, but more importantly, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men. Listen to me. And whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government. Right here is the crux of why American farmers, American businessmen, moms and dads, people who were blacksmiths, why they picked up arms and killed their fellow Britons. Remember, America was made up of English. And they picked up weapons and killed their fellow English. Why? Because the government of England had become destructive to the ends of what legitimate government is. Legitimate government, read this document. This document doesn't prove it. This document doesn't create this. This document only affirms how God made the world, okay? Governments are instituted to take the laws of God and the rights that are God-given and to protect them. All right? God is our creator. He gave us the right to life, to liberty, to property. All right? And if a government becomes destructive to those ends, it's the right of the people to abolish it, overthrow it. Are you seeing where this is headed? I've got to take a break. Don't go away. Remember, the autocrats among us, they might be pushing us to war, and they don't care. I'm inviting you to not only watch this program, but invite your friends to do it. This show airs on over 130 television stations around the country, 8 p.m. Eastern, and again, 1 a.m. Eastern, all times local. But you might have a friend in another city who can't get it on their television set. They can watch it live on their computer if they want. They can stream it from their computer right onto their television set, as so many do today. That's why Hulu and Netflix and other companies have gotten so big. People are actually using their computer to watch television on their TV set or on their desktop or their laptop. So there's no cost, and you can invite your friends to watch this program live at 8 p.m. Eastern or 1 a.m. Eastern on their computer Monday through Friday. And oh, by the way, you can take advantage at our website of gazillions of tools to make you a better Christian. It took me 14 years to write it. 4 rewrites, countless edits. I poured my heart and soul into Dragon Slayers. At points a very inspiring and painful book to write. I encourage you to go to our website and look at the reviews that we have gotten from readers of this book, and then avail yourself. It's an allegory, and I promise you, you'll be inspired. Does our Lord Jesus Christ, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, have authority in the political realm, the judicial realm, economics, education? The answer is yes. And does he want his servants to be the leaders in those realms? Again, yes. If you want to learn how you can be a leader in the power bases of America, get the series, Taking Back the Gates. Welcome back, friend. I'm Randall Terry. Please follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and follow us on our YouTube channel. We will be launching a live broadcast very soon where you can watch live Monday through Friday, and you can text us in real time, and you can also call. We're going to take calls on this program. Very excited about it. So we encourage you to go to our website and hook up with us in cyberspace and in social media. Now, let me tell you why I'm talking about this. President Trump's administration made an error, in my opinion, and it was that when this little tin dictator in the state of Washington said that he was overturning the travel ban in all 50 states, President Trump's administration should have told them to go to the hot place and pound salt. Okay? He doesn't have the authority to do it. Period. End of discussion. Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, they would have called for that judge's impeachment, perhaps flogging. Literally, if you look at what the founders of this republic did to secure liberty, look at what they did at the Boston Tea Party. Look at what they did to fight against the Stamp Act. Okay, you want to understand the spirit of liberty and the spirit of revolution? Look at what the founders did and then picture this jerk in the state of Washington to figure the fate that he would have had at the hands of people who understood law coming from above and liberty. But I digress. There are people who say, well, the Supreme Court's the law, the supreme law of the land. No, it's not. No, it's not. Read your Constitution. Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Patrick Henry, they would not recognize this country as far as how its laws were administered. And I promise you, I swear before, well, I'm not supposed to swear before anything. Jesus said not to do that. I promise you, if they were alive today, they would call for a revolution. That's my opinion, but I believe it. They would call for the violent overthrow of the aristocracy, the oligarchy, and they would probably I got to be careful. Maybe they would horsewhip some of the members of Congress who are cowards. They're treacherous. We have been overrun in our country by the judiciary. Representative government is primarily dead because of the judiciary, the federal judiciary. And our cowards in office like Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell and the rest of them, they have done nothing. They should have impeached the court, the members of the court who voted for Obergefell. The next morning, they should have begun impeachment proceedings because they violated the law that they swore to uphold. But they didn't do that. They just rolled over like frightened little boys and girls. Anyway, President Trump is facing a constitutional crisis. We all are. And that is that the judiciary has sought and successfully accomplished a coup d'etat, a putsch, as the late Anton Scalia said. And if you read the 4 dissents from Obergefell, okay, each of them in so many words say one of two things: that this was in fact a revolution, or that this was why the Revolutionary War was fought, to stand against this exact type of autocracy, this exact type of fiat government, of a monarch who was above the will of the people. So read them for yourself. So we have a constitutional crisis. And President Trump and his administration need to fix it by defying the courts. Tell them to go to hell. Tell them to go back to hell where their decisions came from. You understand, Obergefell is from hell. Roe versus Wade is from hell. The decisions to drive prayer, Bible, the 10 Commandments out of the schools, to unleash the flood of pornography in the name of free speech. All of this is literally from hell. So, our president, in my opinion, can fix this constitutional crisis, but here's what's really ironic about it. Those who hate God, those who hate law, are going to then say that President Trump is a lawbreaker. He won't obey the law. They don't believe in law. They believe in dictatorships. They believe in an aristocracy, or rather an oligarchy. And what they really want is for President Trump to just roll over so that they can continue to have their killing and their perversion and all their evils, not because of true law, but because of a dictatorship called the Supreme Court.